Welcome to another episode of Mommy Interrupted, and here's the host of your show, Kristi Beck.
Don't mess with me.
Well, hello, and thank you so much and welcome to another edition of Mommy Interrupted. As you mentioned, my name is Kristi Beck, and I have been living the life of a Mommy Interrupted, which for me means that I have been erased from the life of my daughter due to brainwashing and toxic hatred from her father, as well as injustice of the family law system. So today I am above and beyond thrilled to have someone who is drawing a lot of attention. And so I'm not going to really launch into much like I have on past shows talking about myself, because today it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Kash Jackson, who I had the opportunity and pleasure to meet in April. So in April of this year, I participated in the Walk for Lost Kids Bay Area walk, which was a week-long walk. And the first day of that was the day that I met Kash Jackson, as well as Dr. Carlos Rivera, who happens to have also his radio show here. And that was coordinated by Patrick Glynn of Walk for Lost Kids. So it was a pretty monumental day. And like I said, I had the opportunity to meet and get to know on a personal level. I got to know Kash Jackson, and, we created some videos, walked around downtown San Jose and stood in front of courthouses and spoke up. So Kash is, I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you about who he is and what he's doing. And because he's about to launch a national campaign, basically. And this is, it's just truly an honor to have him here. So Kash, are you with me?
Yeah. Good morning, Kristi. It's a pleasure to be with you guys this morning. I'm here in beautiful Washington State. And, I just want to know, can you guys hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Eric, how's the sound? Are you there, Eric? Apparently. Hopefully it's good.
Yes,
Hopefully
the sound is very good. This is Gina. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Gina.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
Hi, yes, we can hear you very well. So continue with your interview.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much. Yeah, just wanted to make sure that, because I am here in the mountains of Washington State, so I understand that my service might not be the greatest. And again, just want to thank you so much, Kristi, for having me on. Just like you had said to your viewers, you and I met back in April, and we're on a similar campaign for awareness and reform of family law.
Right.
A little bit about me for your listeners, just to know who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I retired from the Navy after 20 years of service this past June, and I'm actually still technically on active duty until 31 August. And that would be my official last day in the Navy. So I had my retirement ceremony this past June, and I've been on vacation, if you will, for the last 70 some odd days that I had saved up.
Perfect.
And so I went through a really difficult divorce, and now I've been struggling in my own personal custody issues. And like many of your listeners and yourself, through this process, I discovered how much reform is really needed inside the judicial system as it pertains to family law. Found out that they do not adhere to constitutional protections, and the fraud and the corruption that is rampant within the judicial system was mind-boggling to me, who had never experienced being inside any court system for any matter whatsoever.
Exactly. Me either.
And I was just thrown back by what I experienced. And I spent over $40,000 on my own personal divorce. And and there were key indicators that really let me know that, this system is just really messed up. When my own attorney had looked at me in court and asked me, why did I even think that I deserved joint custody?
Oh, my gosh.
With a very snide attitude, just talked down to me as though I was beneath him and the ability to be a father. Yet this is a man and a father himself talking to me like that.
And representing you and supposed to be representing your interests.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And that was one key thing that, that stood out in my mind. And other ones were, and I try to be very upfront with people about who I am and my past. And I've had 3 different orders of protection placed on me. And, whenever I figured out through that process that no proof is required inside the Illinois court system, and it varies from state to state on how.
But it's very similar, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so I know there's a lot of striking similarities nationwide, but like in my case where there was an ongoing divorce, they would take an order of protection and they send it down from a criminal court down to the family court and allow the family court judges to add that in to the litigation that's ongoing inside the family court system. And once down there, you're not afforded the same protections and constitutional protections that you would have in criminal court. So I really probably would have been better off were I in a criminal court with those accusations, because inside family court, no proof was required. And they were able to put them in place and really, they infringed upon my ability to be a father to my children for really the better part of the last 2 years. These things have impacted me. So
question I have for you then. So regarding the orders of protection, so what do you might care to expand a little bit into that regarding the silver bullet, or what happened, and how is the criminal court able to just pass it down to family court? Did you ever appear in criminal court regarding these charges or whatever the charges are?
Yeah, I did. So with the initial one, and conveniently, the first order of protection that was ever placed against me was conveniently the day after I told my ex-wife that I'm going to file for divorce. Oh. And I knew that she had been speaking with attorneys. I knew that she had spoken with attorneys previously, and but I had no idea about these orders of protections and how they are used as a sword instead of a shield. And that's exactly what I uncovered through this process, is that it's known as a silver bullet because it's basically a one-shot kill that, whoever has the order of protection placed upon them, it then puts that person in a predicament of fighting an uphill battle to try and be a parent to their children. And the standard of proof that is required is so grotesquely low, because I spoke with my state's attorney in Lake County, Illinois, there, Mike Neerheim. I spoke with him on a couple of occasions because I was really upset about this process. And I'm like, why do you guys feel that it's acceptable for a judge to issue one of these things out, infringe upon somebody's constitutional rights? And because when they first signed it into place, it's only an emergency order of protection to provide an immediate form of protection for the person seeking it, right?
Right.
Well, so again, a lot of these items and the specifics will vary from state to state, but in Illinois, an emergency order of protection, typically you will not be in front of a judge for about 3 weeks. And that's how long it took for me. So I had to fly from Washington to Illinois, and I had hired an attorney, and the attorney told me, there's no need for you to come here. We'll go into court and handle it. And they charged a flat fee of $1,200. So, for that flat fee of $1,200, that's what it took for me to get that first order of protection not to be put in place. So I had the emergency order. Yeah. So the first emergency order of protection that she sought, she got the 3-week grant, which immediately comes when they issue that. Okay. And so I flew back to Illinois to ensure that one did not, because the next step, the next process is that if the judge issues the next order, it would be what's known as a plenary order, and it can go into place for 2 years. For 2 years, and they call that temporary. And
Whoa.
yeah, is it temporary? Yeah, because it's not for 18 or till the child ages out of the system. But
Right.
2 years of no contact or limited contact with your children is absurd.
Right.
Especially when the standard of proof is so low. So I flew back to ensure that didn't get put in place. So between the plane ticket, the short notice plane ticket, and taking leave from the military, it cost me several $1,000s to go and defend myself, and that was the first one.
Incredible.
And with two more,
And I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
with two more to
I'm sorry to
follow.
interrupt you, but I'm curious about, and you mentioned that she filed for the emergency order of protection the day after you said you were filing for divorce. So,
Right.
and there's an element here that is very interesting to me, because domestic violence really does happen. Okay, we can all agree that domestic violence happens, and it is important, whether it's a man or a woman, that there's some type of protection that does happen. So there's a piece of me that doesn't feel that that's necessarily the worst thing, but what I'm curious, as far as like, okay, the court, if there's something, some kind of but it seemed as though there should be some proof to grant it. And so when she went down and filed that, so what was her complaint, or what did she state? Like, what was her initial reason on her paperwork that she said she needs an emergency protection from you?
She alleged sexual abuse. She alleged physical abuse. She alleged mental and emotional abuse.
Whoa.
Really anything that you could think of.
Everything
and a
to
lot
make
of
it
things
look as horrendous as possible.
Right. And a lot of things, that she listed were either were complete falsifications or lies, or they were misconstrued in the manner in which she laid them out. In the way, in her wording, it would appear abusive. And one example of that is where she had said she basically tried to make it appear as though I was this very overbearing and abusive father to my children.
Okay.
Because of my, my disciplinary tactics and how I discipline my children. Now, I've been in the military, so I use words like tactics and what have you. And at that time, I was and at that time, I was a drill instructor, for the Navy. So, am I for lack of better terms, a hard ass? Yeah, I can be,
Sure,
but an abusive father, and
I just
my
lost
son
you
is
for a second there.
Yeah, my son is very strong. Came outside, and it was snowing outside. I put on my snow gear, and I made him move a pile of bricks. So I made him pick up one brick at a time, and pick up the brick and carry it to the back of the yard, to learn to obey instruction, like from his mother and from myself. Because for me, he would listen and he would obey. But whenever I was at work, he was very disobedient with his mother, and was just, he was just a strong-willed child, and, and so I was trying to instill that discipline in him, and, I mean, like any other children, they go out and they play in the snow and they sled, and we run and play in the snow and build forts and everything else.
That's what happens when you try to connect us all, Oh, wow, I can hear everybody so much better now. Can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome back. And again, I don't know if you understand, Kash, the significance of my show being called Mommy Interrupted, because it's how it goes. We're interrupted midstream. It's how it goes. You have to just be prepared and roll with the punches. But you were saying something, but I have a question for you, because I was thinking about this. So regarding the emergency order of protection that happened.
Go.
Don't mess with me. Did you hear that video?